The Algorithm of Violence: When Free Speech Becomes Predictable Harm. Author's note. This book exists because something fundamental has changed, not in our Constitution, but in the biological reality of where speech lives. What pushed me to write my new book was the daily reality of our digital feeds, a constant barrage of tasteless memes, dehumanizing jokes, and targeted slurs. But as a retired Air Force sergeant and a realtor, I began to see this through a different lens. I noticed something deeper than just bad manners. I saw how cliques pile on with mockery, even in the shadow of real-world violence. It became impossible to ignore the role algorithms play in aiming that outrage into emotional silos, effectively quarantining the most vulnerable 8% of our population into what I call fractured emotional envelopes. For most of American history, dangerous speech was easy to spot because its reach was limited by the laws of physics. A speaker on a street corner had a limited megaphone. The legal standard of imminent lawless action assumed a slower world with a natural cooling off period. We do not live in that world anymore. The framers protected speech in a world of limited reach. We are living in a world of limitless distribution and precision targeting. Speech isn't just traveling farther, it is being delivered differently. It is boosted, filtered, and aimed by systems designed to keep us agitated and clicking. When anger is the product, we shouldn't be surprised when violence is the result. What this book is and what it is not. Let me be clear. This book is not a call to shred the Bill of Rights. It is not a partisan project. I am not trying to criminalize disagreement. I am trying to deal honestly with a modern forensic reality. When speech is amplified and aimed by machines, it produces predictable, statistical harm, even when no one issues an old-fashioned "go do it right now" command. This is also not legal advice. I am not an attorney. My goal is to contribute a framework, the ninth pillar, for public understanding and policy discussion. This represents a necessary renovation of our constitutional house. It is a framework that respects free speech while refusing to ignore the biological breach our digital environment is forcing upon us. Some guidance in the tactical execution, how to use the infographics. You'll see infographics throughout every chapter. They aren't decoration, they are the ballistics reports of this investigation. In my military career, I learned that you cannot complete a mission without accurate intelligence. I use these visuals for 3 reasons: to make complex algorithmic systems visible, the structural integrity check; to show patterns, not just anecdotes, the mission data; to keep you oriented as the argument builds, the strategic map. The visuals are here to help you test the logic, not to pressure you into agreement. Use them as you would a home inspection report to see where the rot has set in and where the foundation remains strong. A note on evidence and fairness. In this politically charged environment, I follow a simple discipline: criticize mechanisms, not tribes. The danger is not speech I dislike. The danger is a repeatable, measurable process where dehumanizing rhetoric paired with large-scale targeting reliably lights up the adrenal glands of the audience and produces predictable intimidation and violence. If you disagree with me, I hope you'll disagree with the strongest version of my argument. If you agree, I hope you'll demand reforms that are careful, constitutional, and enforceable, standard operating procedures, SOPs, that protect dissent while denying cover to predictable harm. The First Amendment was never meant to be a suicide pact. It's time we renovated the house to survive the storm. Thank you for watching. Sergeant G2 Varrato II, Realtor, Retired United States Air Force, Phoenix, Arizona, January 2026. This is how the themes are incorporated. The professional foundation from my realtor perspective. Note the use of renovation, structural integrity, and home inspection report. It frames the Constitution as a physical structure that requires maintenance. The tactical precision, from my perspective and time as a sergeant in the United States Air Force, I integrated phrases like ballistics reports, mission critical, strategic map, and SOPs. It gives the text an air of disciplined forensic authority. The biological pulse I weave in the human biological and emotional elements. These are woven in through biological reality, adrenal glands, and fractured emotional envelope, keeping the focus on the physical impact on real people. Regarding the term stochastic rhetoric, stochastic rhetoric is used throughout this book. It is a term that is not widely used nor understood. I'm going to take a moment to save you the Google search and help you understand this term. Stochastic rhetoric is political or public speech that is hostile, dehumanizing, or fear-inducing in a way that statistically increases the chance someone will commit violence, even though no specific violent act is directly ordered. It relies on probability rather than explicit commands. Who will act, when, and how remains unpredictable, but the overall risk of an attack goes up. Here is the core idea. The word stochastic comes from statistics and refers to processes involving randomness or probability. In this context, rhetoric is broadcast to large audiences. Most people never act, but a tiny fraction may interpret the message as a call to violent action. The key feature is plausibly deniable language, insults, demonization, jokes about violence that falls short of explicit incitement but still raises the likelihood of real-world attacks. This is how it works in practice. A typical pattern looks like this. A public figure repeatedly demonizes a person or group as dangerous, corrupt, or an existential threat. Media and online platforms amplify this message, normalizing the hostility. Among many listeners, an unstable or highly radicalized individual decides on their own to attack the target. The speaker then denies responsibility, pointing out that they never literally told anyone to commit violence. An example in abstract terms, if a leader constantly describes a minority group as invaders and poisoning our country, over time, the statistical odds rise that one supporter will decide to defend the country with a lone actor attack, even though no direct order was given. The relation to law and incitement. In U.S. law, classic incitement requires intent and likelihood to produce imminent lawless action, the Brandenburg Standard. Stochastic rhetoric usually avoids clear, time-specific calls like attack X at Y place now, so it often does not meet that legal threshold. Because of this gap, scholars treat stochastic rhetoric terrorism as an analytic or descriptive concept rather than a formal crime category.